up a seat at the bar to join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tanzan, Maggie, and me bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.
Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 13.1, Room and Border, where we are covering the novel Deadbeat. My name is Tanzan, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
What up?
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us to do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at www.patreon.com/freeflowrambling. Paranormal investigations are Harry Dresden's business, and Chicago is his beat, as he tries to bring law and order to a world of wizards and monsters that exists alongside everyday life. And though most inhabitants of the Windy City don't believe in magic, the Special Investigations Department of the Chicago PD knows better. Karen Murphy is the head of SI and Harry's good friend, so when a killer vampire threatens to destroy Murphy's reputation unless Harry does her bidding, he has no choice. The vampire wants the word of Kemler, whatever that is, and all the power that comes with it. Now, Harry is in a race against time, and 6 merciless necromancers to find the word before Chicago experiences a Halloween night to wake the dead.
Just FYI, nobody yet has guessed the code, so that is still up for grabs, if you can figure it out. Wahaha. So this book is Chicago 2005.
Okay.
Harry will turn 30 in this book.
My God, that's like 20 years ago.
My condolences, man.
All right.
Also, it doesn't super affect the Dresden Files, but you should know the scope of what was happening in Chicago at the time, okay?
What was happening on this day in 2005?
Not on this day in this year. The White Sox have won for the first time in 88 years.
Woo!
For the last time currently.
Oh, wow.
And smoking.
That's a new one-hit wonder.
Every 88 years, we take home the championship.
Well, they've won 3 times in like 100 and something years. So those first couple years were really good. But
Yeah, that's why their fan base is so loyal. It's like, we started off good, we will come back.
We'll come back to it. Second thing that happened that year is smoking indoors was banned.
This is...
So you're dealing with a tumultuous society right now, okay?
Right, shit's going on.
Cranky smokers.
But happy sports fans, so...
Who is in office?
I don't know anything.
That's not
Bush.
important. Okay, so wait, though, because this is...
I think it was.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so as we've just established, it's Halloween-y time. So...
Weenie,
yeah. So when does baseball season end? It would have wrapped up by now, right? So they've won at this point?
I said all the things about sports that I knew.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You could make it up and I would believe you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I honestly...
it's the boys of summer, so we have to assume that,
I saw 15 headlines that said the White Sox finally win after 88 years, and I had to Google what sport White Sox was. But baseball, very American.
How about them sports teams?
Right? Love me some ball playing.
Yep.
Yeah, so... All right, just trying to think if it was, coming together at the mix or if it at all,
Maybe.
You got,
No smoking, and the White Sox have won. Go
right?
party.
We're super psyched, but we can't smoke to celebrate. And
So Deadbeat, arguably one of the most fan favorite books in the series.
one of mine.
It is quite up there.
I like this one.
Mm-hmm. Most people reference, quote, artwork, remember.
There's a lot of, memorable highlights.
Lines, a lot of moments. It's a pretty peak Dresden.
Even I remember one moment from this movie.
I hope so. And if it's not the one that we're thinking of, I'm going to be really fucking surprised.
I'm like, 20 chapters from now, Tan's going to be like, a T-Rex? What? Oh my god.
Spoilers.
Holy shit.
Wait, aren't some of our listeners
I've taken
first
theater.
time?
I can pretend if you want, though.
Let's see how good that university training is, 10 years later.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're right. I got you, girl.
Fantastic.
Chapter 1. Harry and Thomas are both frustrated with the new living circumstances. Harry for his habitat, and Thomas for his livelihood. Murphy comes over to let Dresden know she's going on vacation with Kincaid. Right afterward, Harry receives an incriminating letter from Mavra, which has implications for Murphy.
Cain and Abel.
Right? Harry contemplating the reasonability of fratricide when he enters his apartment is kind of brilliant.
Right.
It is a tough adjustment to go from living alone to living with a roommate.
Especially because Harry mostly has. Like, there was only him and Elaine as a kid, and then he got shipped off with Ebenezer, so there's only Ebenezer. And then since then, he's been on his own, right? Harry hasn't done the roommate situation. Harry doesn't have a bunch of family or siblings or shit like that. And I have to admit, until my children left the house, I had actually never lived alone. Because I went from living at home with my family to my sister and a couple roommates to my husband to then no husband. So I stopped living with adults, but then I had my children.
Right.
So and then I did at times, my sister lived with us for a while and then other partners and stuff like that. So there, even if there was not another adult in my house, there was always children. So it wasn't until...
But the transition to somebody who's really, doesn't hold your same...
Well, yeah, but even that was it was strange. When
household compatibility? Is that?
Yes, yeah, that is a whole big thing. So, when I first, it didn't take that long to adjust. I'm not going to lie. I didn't have, a whole big empty nest thing or anything like that. It was a little bit weird at first because all of a sudden, I'm I'm not used to being the only one ever at home. Normally, I'm, doing my thing. But, somewhere in the house, the kids watching TV in their room or in the basement. Or, you hear people coming and going and, you know what I mean? And now, if I wasn't actively doing anything or making noise or having anything on, there was no background noise in my house all of a sudden, right? And then, you get used to that. It was fine. And then, now it's a big difference when all of a sudden you're like, oh, you want to, you can come stay. That's fine. And it's not a bad thing. But again, even that, and I mean, I have lived with my kids before or something like that, I'm you are sort of used to how they live and how they do. But even that, sometimes I'm it is. So I can imagine with not even having any of that beforehand, right? You change and adjust very.
And part of it too is that even when you get married to someone or just move in with anyone, right? The way they do things and the way you do things, like you said, roommate compatibility,
takes a while sometimes to...
And other people, it's just wrong about things, okay? So yeah, even though they're siblings, it's what the fuck? You vampires have never done anything a day in your lives ever. You just mind control everyone to do your shit or have enough money to hire people to do your shit.
Right.
And Thomas is I've never had to clean up after myself a day in my life. This is fine. Someone's gonna come in and do it behind me. And Harry's I will kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, but you have to leave the house so
they can do it, yeah.
I know, which is funny.
You don't know that I have a secret house keeping service.
Yeah.
So for all you know, I'm the one doing it, so fuck you.
Right. Which is why Thomas can't figure out.
I don't know why even more frustrating because he can't say anything about it. He's
it is. That obviously is.
Get out of the house and I can't tell you why.
Right, and he's voiced that frustration a few times for that reason. But it's kind of funny though because even if he thinks Harry is, from Thomas's point of view, I'm what the hell? Just go wash the dishes now. Why do you have to wait until every time I leave the house to wash? Does he start wondering? Does Harry have some kind of freaky Harry has to get naked and
Nothing in the universe is worse being watched while you do chores, though, okay? I regularly did my chores at 2 a.m. so that no one would fucking watch me while I did it, because I'm very much one of those people where I thought it doesn't matter how it gets done as long as it gets done. And I realize as an adult now, no, if you're not going to do it right, I'd rather do it myself, okay?
Right.
I get very annoyed with people when they do things wrong, and I didn't like when they were critiquing me for not doing it their way. However, I will also say not having people leave the house, very highly annoying. I've got a roommate who works from home. She's home 24/7. Literal weeks can pass without her leaving the house. She likes to order her groceries to the house. She works from home. She doesn't want to go meet people.
Yeah.
Drives me up the wall because I leave the house 30 times a day. And I'm like, I never get to be home alone. Just go away.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, totally a thing with a roommate situation and stuff like that, too. Like, right now with Ken's, which I guess depending, she might have a job in Kelowna over the summer for her apprenticeship, which is good and great, but she stinks. She's applied to a couple other places around here, too, but I'm like, I might have. But yeah, her
That was a great place to
visit.
Yeah.
She did not like living there, but yeah, she's like, I will go back for the summer and live on the beach, and then, but even that, right, like, my hours differ from hers, so she's always home from school by the time I get home from work, you know, and neither of us do a lot, but she doesn't go out a whole lot either or whatever, you know, but on the weekends, I'm potentially sometimes more likely to have, you know, I'll take the great niece or whatever, or I'm coming out to do this kind of stuff, or, you know, so sometimes I will, but she doesn't always, right? So it's always like every time I'm home, she's home. So a lot of the time, so she can have free time on her own because, like I say, she gets home before I am, or I leave the house on the weekends and she's home, right? So it's just sometimes I feel that imbalance. I'm like, you get time home by yourself all the time. I'm like, but every time I'm home, you're here. I never get, you know, I'm like, I can't blast my stereo and whatever. When you know, like I put earphones in when I go to go shower. Cause I mean, you know.
So I think this is a really nice sort of situation. Like I still do technically have a roommate. But,
yes.
But
the upstairs and the basement suite, you have all your own separate
it's not
space.
entirely a separate space because we do show that very obvious entrance. Like
Yeah. But beyond that is exactly, you guys, for the most part, do not have to go through each other's space and whatever and have.
It's better now that there's a door there.
Right.
There was never a door there before. So it was like,
Gotcha.
and then the cats annoyed him. I was like, there was a solution.
There's always motivation.
A door. Okay. Like if you don't want them up here, put up a door.
Right. But no, it is funny how some people are very, very particular.
Yes, I do understand Harry's anger and aggression.
Yeah.
I myself have had the urge to go a little cane on my Abels. So.
I have witnessed her playing out that urge. It just comes shy of actual fratricide. Yeah.
They had it coming.
Absolutely they did.
Depends who you ask. But yes.
Last time me and my sister lived together, we got into one really, really, really awful fight, and we're like, all right, this has to end now. There's no mom to break us up. We can't live together anymore.
Right. That's, one of us will die.
Yeah, that's me and my sister. We don't really.
Yeah.
We are best of friends when we do not live with each other.
Yeah.
I don't talk to my sister for months at a time, and it's great.
But my older sister and I very much the same. Once we discovered once we weren't living together, we got along
that
great.
might be a birthright, really.
It would make sense. I mean, I'm sure because you spend a lot of time together, and I don't know if you had, like I said, obviously lots of kids in my family. I shared rooms with my various sisters at various times. One time, all three of us there. So
Too much like the gap between me and my sister. 9 years difference.
Well, and there was just the two of you, like I say, right? So exactly. It was like, so we were not just under the same roof, but literally under the same roof at times. So that first she'd moved out for about like a year or something like that. All of a sudden we got along like because we always did get along growing up, but none of the fighty squabbly stuff. It was just the good parts of getting along and hanging out and what I know. And then we're like, okay, this is cool. We're like adults now. And then we decided to get a place together, and it was not as bad as our childhood. But again, there was friction, and we're like, okay, we get along fantastic as long as we don't live with each other. Right. We have never lived together since, and it's been fine. But exactly, it was very fun. It was like that. We're like a year. We're all like, oh, okay, we're fine now. We're all nope. It's still living together. Okay, we got it.
I love that. I have notes, and we're literally still on the first bullet point, and we're 24 minutes.
Okay, did we say fan favorite? Okay, a lot of good. I mean, it starts off right here. We're barely past the first paragraph, and he's like, I was filled with a sense of empathic sympathy and intuitive understanding. for freaking Kane.
That's a good line.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
a freaking
it
good
starts. Oh, yeah. I think that might actually have been like a laugh out loud moment for me.
Line. Well, even in like Mr. Mad, it's like, yeah, no, fuck off. This is awful.
Thomas didn't get around to feeding the dog. He didn't let Mr. out of the home. Okay, yeah, the animals are a little bit peeved. It's a small space, and in one afternoon, it went from... Honestly, Mr. was the house guest that was home all the time, and Harry was never home.
Right.
He had to share with a fucking skull. Like, and then in one
And
night...
he was locked in the basement most of the time.
and in one night, 2 monsters have moved in.
Right? Like, yeah, exactly. Like, from Mr.'s perspective, this is like what the
That
actual...
disdain.
Yeah.
You didn't ask my permission about any of this, buddy.
Right.
I own all of this, and I was not consulted.
And it's true, because I love how Harry, in the first couple of books, basically just, introduces Mr. that way. He's like, he's this cat, basically, it's his apartment, and he just allows me to stay here, because I, like, feed him and stuff, right? Like that. You know what I mean? And now exactly, like, you're literally like, the puppy was kind of there for a couple of days, but again, he was still tiny. But yeah, basically, you get Mouse and Thomas in one fell swoop, and it's like, what a book.
Well,
And the dog takes up a lot of days.
this book is nearly exactly 1 year
Right.
from
Nearly.
the last. So we're like nearly like 1 year of poor Mr. putting up with this shit.
Right?
So yes,
And Harry.
here's the situation. At the end of last book, Harry told Thomas that he was allowed to move in, and he decided he was going to keep Mouse, and it has not been going well because Thomas has been unable to hold a job because every time he goes to work, he starts sleeping with his bosses or his coworkers or the customers, and he gets fired.
Not even. It's not even that he starts sleeping with. They're just all gravitationally pulled to him, and they're all like trying to jump his bones, whether or not he's trying to. And yeah, he obviously is the one that keeps getting blamed for it, right? So I was going to say,
Reverse sexism.
right? I mean, he might not even be as mad if he was actually nailing all of them, but that's his whole point, is he's trying not to. He's like, I just want to have a job. And yet again, I got molested in the walk-in freezer, and her boss, not my boss, and I'm the one that gets fired, right?
It makes, I don't know, this whole thing comes out to be that Thomas is a little bit incompetent, and I get the whole struggling with the, this is his version of depression and things like that for the vampire, is that he just wants to not have sex, and he wants to just have a normal life and avoid the whole vampire thing. But I can't imagine Laura being so incompetent right now. Like, I can't get anything done. I just have to be sleeping with someone all day long. And obviously it's a little bit different when you're at the top of the food chain and
See, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't
Right, I think about that now.
I don't read it quite the same way. It's not so much that he's incompetent. Like, I mean, I know, like you say, that's sort of what Thomas is feeling, that down on himself, that I can't even hold a job.
Definitely a difficult transition.
But, yeah, I look at it more that it's not even that he's trying not to have sex at all or anything like that. Because he doesn't seem to have an issue with Angie. It's just exactly that he's like, I just want to go in and do my job. And he does, and again, whether it's because he's never had to control it the same way before, so he doesn't have the practice, or whether because he has been toning it down and not feeding his, version of like dieting, basically, that his control is not as good because he's not operating at full level or whatever. But yeah, I feel it's more just a little bit that his come hither whammy that Dresden described it as Laura. What did he call it, Laura's? Something like that. Anyways, but he's just exuding more of that, and that's what's interfering, you know what I mean? He's not trying to. He's like, I literally, fine if I'm flipping burgers or whatever, he's like, I literally just want to flip burgers, and he can't get his job done because everybody and their dog is coming up to him and making moves on him and getting in his way and hanging
like,
around.
say, Laura would be.
And, well, that too, is he's not
is that clearly he was living a life beforehand and it wasn't as bad. And maybe it was because, it was just world focused on Justine, but I still imagine, all the other incubus that we have met and will meet don't seem to be like, oh yeah, I can't even walk down the street. It seems like for them it's a little bit more targeted. Like, yeah, maybe everyone sees them as beautiful, but they're not like, they can go to Walmart and come out of Walmart not having been assaulted or done any assaulting. And Thomas seems to be very much like, I can't fucking help it right now. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
And maybe it's just, he's lasting 2 weeks of the job. Maybe it's just resisting the same guy every day for 2 weeks versus just 5 minutes in Walmart or something is different. But I don't know. I feel a little bit like, Thomas, what are you doing that is just not trying hard enough or unable to know how to try harder or...
Yes, but I mean, I do look at it from the same that as you mentioned, like, like you were talking about with him never having to clean up at himself. I'm like, Thomas probably has not done a lot of Walmart trips.
Listen, again,
like, this is his biggest thing, is that exactly, it's like his family is loaded, and I don't know, like you say about there might be other vampires out there that work McDonald's, and they have to because that's their life, but Thomas is rich, pretty boy, so exactly.
Total case of affluenza. I get it. You've never worked a job, you don't know how to do it. However, affluenza.
I don't know, but it's
a great term, yeah.
I think that's
actually... Is that the official term for that defense or something?
I think affluenza
is
actually
official.
Is it?
It's a court defense for, like, when rich people do things bad, and they're like, I didn't know there was consequences. I've never dealt with consequences in my life, and lots of people have won that. It's horrible.
God.
People have killed people, and been like, how was I supposed to know going 200 on a road would kill someone?
Yeah, I have a racetrack in my backyard. We do it all the time.
It's a thing. Oh my God.
Yeah, Isn't that crazy?
We live in a horrible world.
Wow.
Yeah.
So anyways.
And another day spent in my basement.
I didn't know cars could go 200. Like, my car won't go out. But yeah, it starts to shake very badly.
So yes, again, I understand, and I feel for Thomas, and I like Thomas. I just feel like, were it another vampire, they'd make it work. He's being a little bit of a baby right now, and just being like, I don't know what the fuck you want from me, man. And I'm like, I don't know, effort. And again, I mean, I've never been an incubus. Okay, fine, maybe.
And you never will be.
And it's also out of our scope because we've never been filthy rich either. So
you might be a succubus one day, but you will never be an incubus.
But maybe the sexual
you don't know
that you are
you don't know that
everywhere is.
I don't know that.
21st century. Okay.
But I do know that she identifies so far as a straight, white, cis female. So I would be very, if she was even fluid, I'd be like, okay, but I feel very, that I don't, whatever way you want to interpret this, I don't see Jessica getting a dick anytime soon, okay? Oh, God, I'm so uncomfortable now. I don't know. She never mentions any boyfriends to me, so...
No, I never will, because I'm a nice fucking person.
Oh, true.
Well, okay. So Harry feeds the poor beasts.
Long story short, the house is a mess, and they fight about it.
Yeah.
Not before he meets Thomas's latest flavor of the day, who rightly assumes they are part of a gay couple, and then fucks off.
This is not supernatural fan fiction, lady. Get out of here.
Very accepting about it.
Yeah, I don't know about naturally, but... I again, little sympathy for Harry here. And in my freaking bed, I'm like,
that's rough.
I don't want friends, but I'm pretty sure do not want my siblings boning someone in my bed,
No, no one at all.
No one at all, but it's just that step worse about, I think...
I bet your siblings. No, I don't want to... No.
Wait, there's more. But yeah, the whole thing is just, gets worse and worse and worse.
It's so disrespectful. That would be for me, all right, you're moving out now. And apparently it's not the first time. That would be for me. Yeah, you're moving out. As soon as you use my bed, goodbye.
Yeah. I don't know. But yes, it is kind of funny that she then, but I mean, again, it is also very, she's like, oh, he's naughty, but at the same time, she just assumes, I'm like, you don't feel bad at all that this guy is out picking up chicks when he lives with a boy, you know what I mean? I'm like, apparently you're fine. I'm like, again, I don't know if that's just, Yeah, but again, the way Harry acted was that he was used to this. So she's like, I'm clearly not the first. You guys have a system, whatever. I guess, right.
Ollie, whatever.
Right, but yeah. Oh, he's so naughty. Tommy, the fuck is Tommy? Ugh, yeah, not a good morning. And yes, the animals haven't been fed, the groceries haven't, not only is there no beer, there's not even Coke, but, yeah, he's pulled back from that murderous rage by, again, the sympathy that Thomas is struggling, and is like, I was gonna take him to the vet, I was gonna get groceries, but I don't have any money, again.
Right, and he does see the error of his ways, which is kind of nice. It's not just like this, whatever.
I was gonna say, it kind of takes him...
I fucked up.
Yeah, it does take him a minute, Harry's, seems to, suddenly wake up and, take a look around and actually take in, and, I mean, again, I get it, sexy, or vamp, sex, supernatural powers, but, man, this is... Joggers are athletic as, the state, books knocked off and thing,
At least the Star Wars poster is still okay.
Vigorous. There was some vigorous activity. Yeah. And meanwhile, Mouse is the size of a woolly mammoth now. And I like that too, where he's like, there was some suspiciously clean plates by the fireplace. No doubt the cleanup work of the other residents. And yeah, Mouse is like spaghetti sauce on his muzzle.
So next up problem is that Murphy's supposed to be coming over and Harry doesn't want her seeing the apartment like this, and Thomas is all like, oh, she's not coming for a booty call, so what does it matter? And I'm like,
Harry's like, excuse me, I don't want her to have a booty call. And Thomas is like, sure.
right, and Thomas is like, come on, bro, it'd be so fun. Why don't you just go for it? And we're not like that, and blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah, I was like, I just ask her. You know, she likes you, you like her. Just trust me on this. No. That's not us.
is filling out the bingo card on annoying fucking roommate.
Right.
Kicked out.
So yeah, they have their little tiff, and yeah, he gets all kind of huffy and defensive and storms out, and Harry's like, and still didn't fucking clean up anything. So yeah, goes out to take the dog for a walk, and hopefully, I wonder how fast those guys, like, you know, like obviously they have to leave more than like Thomas, like walking the garbage out to the curb and back. But Harry's not gone for all that long either. You know, goes, takes the dog for a walk, chats with Murphy. Like, how long? Like, what do they want? Like a 20-minute window for the ferries? 15? A half an hour? Like, you know what I mean?
They're
like,
magic. They can stop time, I'm sure.
Well, this is like I say, right? They obviously don't need a lot of time, but they obviously are not ducking in and out in the time that Thomas, you know, goes to the garbage and back, right? Obvious. Although you do have to wonder sometimes about that if they do, because like I say, if Harry's supposedly off at work for the day and Thomas goes out for a couple hours to go grocery shopping or something, comes back and the place is clean, does he think like Harry popped in the middle of the day and just cleaned up? Does he? You know, I never thought about that.
Apparently, he hasn't even given him an opportunity to like be suspicious because he just hasn't left.
Well, yeah, maybe that's it. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, goes, and as he gets back from his walk, Murphy is just pulling into the driveway.
Yes, gets slobbery kisses.
Yeah.
This is why I'm a cat person. It's that moment right there. Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm okay with dogs as long as they do not have gross stringy drool.
Yes, that is a preference. I'm glad, even though I have a large dog.
Although now I have a cat that drools on me, so it's slightly different though.
It is slightly different. It's not from like the big slobbery drooly dogs that, yeah, cats drooling on you is
like Agata's dogs.
Yeah. Herc was, yeah, he's a big mastiff, and he had like this fucking like steam shoveled tongue like that. But yeah, he just was constantly salivating, and yeah.
So I will say, Murphy pulls up wearing a white socks windbreaker.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I just Googled it. They won the World Series. The games took from this 22nd of October to the 26th. So days ago, like 1 week ago, they won the World Series.
Okay, that's when
We're
the
in
finals
party
series are.
It's a good cultural.
There you go. Not only did they win, but they won
Now. Right now.
Damn. Yeah, so I was wondering, because I'm like, it's got to be like around September or October, right? Because summer is over. But okay, so. Dang.
Yes. So.
I don't know, is this the first time? Because I know we've seen it at other points. Have we seen Murphy in her Tox jacket before?
Not up to this point. I think this is the first mention.
This is the first time that I've been aware of it, at least.
It's been mostly motorcycle gear.
Yeah, mostly her business suits and her motorcycle. But I feel like she
at one point, but she was uncomfortable.
Well, yes, that was just the picnic. But yeah, I feel like there's once or twice that she makes an appearance in jackets or caps or something. But I wonder, maybe she got her fancy new silky one because in honor of the win. I don't know, or
potentially.
Was she a newbie fan or like real hardcore, right? Like she just jumped on the bandwagon? Or?
Maybe the jacket's been in there from 88 years ago when they first won, the second time they won, and Grandma's been
my great-grandmother's.
Based on how her family brings TVs to picnics, like.
Yeah, good point.
I was gonna say what we know about Murphy too is Murphy is not exactly a jump on the bandwagon kind of person. So yes, I feel like she was already whatever.
Or maybe just all municipal staff got like socks merch.
Yeah, because SI is totally getting like free merch from.
Lots of businesses do that, okay?
Support lots of businesses do, but again, be one of those things where like every other department in the cops would get it, and SI still wouldn't get in on the perks.
Why? I want it too.
Right.
Oh yeah, we forgot you guys worked here.
You guys.
Yeah.
So Murphy's here to tell Harry she's going on vacation.
Not just that.
You water my plants? Oh, yeah, sure. Where are you going?
Yeah.
Say it, guys.
Okay, thanks
around the bush.
She has questionable taste.
And yet, you know, high tension, lots of feelings and emotions happening.
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, you know, off to Hawaii with Kincaid.
What?
That is not a bad vacation.
Kincaid. No.
And I like how fast a turnaround it is, okay? One book to the next. Let's bring it right back.
Right, it is. But then, as you say, it has also been a year since so it's not like...
Well, they've been on a couple dates.
Yeah, to go on a vacation together is kind of...
Presumably, they've had a couple, hookups at least.
And she's got some defenses that seem to be so lined up, too. This whole...
Or her defensiveness is in like
I'm not running off to Vegas. I work all the time. Life is going right by me. I just want to take some time before it's too late. Blah, blah, blah.
Rationalizations, justifications.
It seems a little bit like maybe Kincaid said this to you as a defense as well. Because like Murphy's not the kind to be like, I need a vacation, blah, blah, blah. It seems more like Kincaid was like, come on, you work all the time. Life is passing right by you. Go to Hawaii.
Interesting. Because no, again, I wouldn't have. I could see him being like, yeah, sure, let's go kind of a thing. But no, I could see that being... Because, she kind of did it in the last book when she's talking about going to when she bites Harry's head off at the station and she gets her candy bar thing or whatever. And she's like, I'm going to be showing up, but I don't even have a date. And I'm like, and he's like, well, then why don't you just like bring some? She's like, Mom's going to be like, why don't you have somebody? And he's like, why don't you? And she's like, what? She's like, are you kidding me? I haven't been on a date in like 2 years. Like, I don't have time. And even if I did, how the fuck do I explain any of my job? Like, cops dating can be hard enough, let alone how do I explain the shit right? So it could be, but I do feel like that Murphy is a little bit that these are enough of her run. And I see it a little bit as, again, like what Thomas is, again, laying that track that maybe Murphy, like, they're not really there, but, maybe Murphy does like Harry a little bit. Maybe Harry does like Murphy a little bit because, there is that dynamic, boys and girls working together and they spend a lot of time and they're friends and you know what I mean? So it's like once you've kind of put that idea out there that I could see Murphy being just a little bit defensive and having to explain to Harry.
Yeah, she's been going through a lot of transition.
Yeah, but I've even had that a little bit, like with guys that I'm friends with or exes that I'm still, you know what I mean? And whether it's needed or not, you do sometimes feel that little bit of a need to defend or justify or excuse or whatever, and be like, well, I haven't dated in like the 3 years since like we broke up. So, this is the first date. It's fun. I'm just going to go, like, what, I don't know. But, so yeah, I don't know. I just didn't read it the same way, but...
the nice part about going to Hawaii, which he doesn't know they're even going, I think, right?
I think Hawaii, yeah, he's got...
They're meeting at the airport.
Even if it's awful, she could just fuck off and still have a good time.
Right, and this is the other thing, too, that, of course, Harry does get into the whole, well, he's like a dangerous guy, and yeah, Murphy's like, I know, and it's funny, she's like, I feel comfortable enough to go off to hook up to you, but exactly, she's like, but... I'm not a major idiot either. Like, I am a cop and a supernatural and whatever. So, you know what? Yeah, exactly. She's like, he doesn't know where we're going. He can't set anything up ahead of time if he's trying to do anything hinky, And I'm like...
He does check boxes, which is that he is already aware of the supernatural, so there's...
Right.
He is the supernatural.
He is the supernatural, and yeah, exactly right. But yeah, I have to admit, I did not really see this coming the first time.
Right.
Because we haven't...
Oh!
Yeah, again, just like after their whole thing, right? Like,
she primed Harry for it last book.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was not necessarily expecting next book for Murphy to be jumping up and going to Hawaii with Kincaid, right? They set it up where he was such a dick to her initially, and she, right? So it's that perfect blend of either perfect enemies or, yeah, this is totally gonna be a love connection kind of a thing, right? That enemies to lovers or whatever, right? It's like, guys are actually, yeah, you're gonna actually, like, zing each other enough that it's gonna, or you're... The tension. But yeah, Murphy's like, and I get it. Murphy's like, fuck it. Like, exactly. Like, I don't get this, and exactly. Somebody I don't have to explain shit to you. Somebody else who obviously is not worried about some long-term lovey-dovey connection thingy. She's like, I can maybe just try this out and have some fun and see. And if it goes somewhere, great. But if it doesn't, she's not got some like needy accountant like hanging off her butt.
Murphy,
damn accountants.
You can't leave chapter 1. We need you. We have a whole book to do.
Right? Exactly. Where the fuck are you going?
Yeah, what the hell, man? Don't you know we have things to do?
You're Harry's sidekick. He can't solve this without you.
Yeah. Right. When does Robin take a vacation?
Right? Never.
I think I do like that Harry actually acknowledges that he is in fact jealous. Just
eventually.
Straight up jealous. He's like, oh fuck.
Not until after. But yeah.
No one ever takes me to Hawaii.
Yeah, right. Not that they could anyways, because poor Harry can't hop on a plane.
He can. It's just really rough.
With next to the seat with the emergency door.
Yeah, but...
Or coach? Wait, no, you can't say
no.
Coach is the regular...
far away from
Economy.
the cockpit. Yeah, at the back, far away from the cockpit.
Yeah, but Harry doesn't.
And think happy thoughts.
Yeah, especially as he goes. Maybe that part.
Couldn't he just well, maybe not. Well,
Okay, he straight up says it at one point. He no longer travels on planes because the last time he tried.
Yes, but we're not there yet.
I
That's
know.
in a future novel, so currently he can still technically ride on planes. I'm thinking, couldn't he just wear, some iron manacles and be fine? But I guess TSA wouldn't let that happen. But also,
We haven't got
TSA
those
isn't
ready.
that big of a deal in 2005 yet, okay? We were still roughly crossing the border in and out of Canada and the US without passports. They're only just starting to rank up and build up their rules and their whole system of evil. And
Yeah.
the TSA as a concept, very good. The
They
TSA
were just
as
a different
practice-
kind of evil at that time. They weren't the current level.
Where the
of-
biggest thing that they gave you shit for was a shampoo bottle.
Yeah.
Right.
So, running water, he's just waterboarding himself on the blind, blocks himself in the little cabin room or something.
the bathroom, yeah.
He makes a little salt circle around his chair.
That might be the
I feel
closest
like he's
thing
not
that he could
himself
get away
out.
with.
I just feel like he's not trying hard enough.
I was gonna say the salt circle thing might be the closest thing he could get away with, or the suppression spell that he tried at Larry Fowler's or something. But yes, basically, I mean, we know that. Yeah, okay, fine. Maybe he has still occasionally, but we know that.
Yes,
He-
power's getting too big to be.
Well, he's not doing any like joyrides on. Maybe if he absolutely has to get somewhere, he's gonna take a flight. But we know that. Yeah, he's like, I'm not just gonna willy nilly hop on planes all over the place and.
I guess you gotta stick to the Niagara Falls and Disney.
Those are much closer. Niagara Falls would be pretty close to him.
That's just a drive, I think, isn't it?
I would think.
And whatever the Florida one is, I think that's
Reasonable.
World, right?
World,
Yeah.
Disney World. A little bit closer than
World is in
California.
Florida, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, point is, yeah, so Murphy is taken off on vacay for a little fun times, and Harry is left behind with his annoying brother who messes up his apartment and brings girls into his bedroom and can't keep a job and help pay for things.
But it's okay.
Bye, Murph. Have fun. I'm happy for you.
It's okay though, because he has mail, and everyone likes receiving mail.
Who doesn't love getting mail?
Mail is great.
Is it?
I just always
Is it?
assume it's... Yeah, don't want it.
Yeah, not very much anymore. Unless it's obviously that handwritten envelope for my mom sending me like a birthday card. I'm like, no, I probably don't. It's probably like a bill or a solicitation or, nope, don't. It's going to be bad news. I don't want to open this fucker.
And it's registered? No.
Jeff, I don't even sign for that shit. No,
Dude.
I don't know. She doesn't live here.
Who dat?
So real quick, we know he did at least 2 cases recently. One where he helped SI with smuggler case. And then also when he helped some coin collector with his thrown over coins in Lake Michigan. And
Overboard?
Yeah, they went overboard on his yacht in Lake Michigan. I'm like, that's weird. That seems more like the smuggling case as well.
I didn't say they weren't the same one.
I just how did you accidentally drop a bag full of coins over your yacht in Lake Michigan without some weird shit going on? That's the short story I want. And did Harry go
But it was-
diving in Lake Michigan to get them?
Well, he wouldn't necessarily. He just had to do the tracking spell and be like, it's here. I gotta...
Really strong...
Magnet, yeah.
Okay, where is that?
I don't know, look for plasma
Oh, hang on. The second was a much needed check from a coin collector who had lost a case of cash from detonations over the side of his yacht. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't realize so much as just dumping. I just thought it was more of like a maybe treasure hunting thing. 'Cause he says from detonations, but I guess there wouldn't necessarily be a lot of treasure buried at the bottom of Lake Michigan.
I just want to know
It would
what guy
have
that
to-
is. We should get his name so we can follow up with him in a couple books.
That could be a fun side story, really.
Who is
Right,
that?
that-
What was that about?
Yeah. So, okay, so first there was Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey. They got in this little lover spat on the boat, and the things just went...
Hate when that happens.
I hate when that happens, but yeah.
And then, yes, there's also a very strange, weird, threatening letter. What do you expect? This is probably in your mail every day.
No. It's a big, scary, threatening envelope. He hasn't gone to a letter yet. It's just a big, scary, threatening envelope. And that is interesting, right? That he notes it's so perfect that it's typewritten, but wait, I see one tiny little different embellishment that indicates it's not.
Yeah, that's weird.
This day and age, I'm like, oh, wow, somebody's got that much penmanship? Crazy.
I know. Unfortunately, I do not have super nice penmanship, and I'm always impressed when people at...
What a weird detail, though, about the
Cursive, the lost
supernatural.
art.
It is, that too. People were complaining. My boss was saying something about that a few years ago. in the day was like, I don't know, 17, 18 when he came to work or something like that. And so before everything had switched over to direct deposit. And yeah, he like finally one day, she was saying, I don't know what she was saying, something. He's like, I don't really know. He's like, I don't know what my check's saying. She's like, what do you mean? He's like, I can't read cursive. So, I mean, obviously like the numeric part of the check, so $300 is $300, but he could not read where she had cursively written like $300 too. And I was like, damn, that's like, I know you guys didn't have a lot
Not
of
like shorthand or anything. That's
no, but just like no, yeah.
We learned cursive in school.
You guys still did, but I know you did not do as much. Like, I know you guys weren't required to. I feel like a lot of your assignments were printed.
Yeah.
Once we started learning cursive and stuff like that, we weren't, unless we were told to do it for something, but ours were expected to be handwritten, not printed or whatever, right? So I know there's a lot of that. Like, I know it has been trans that even though you guys sort of learned it and you can, but even that, you know what I mean? I'm like, even if you didn't do a lot of it, like, yeah, you can still read it for the most part. You feel like even once you sort of start to understand letters a little bit, once you can read it.
And even then, most of my handwriting is done in cursive, but it's probably only 90% of the letters that I do in cursive. There's still about 10% of letters that are just easier to do in print than.
Yeah, and I have to admit, mine has developed that way too. I have sort of a half print, half write sort of thing now for certain, which is interesting. Would probably kill my teachers or whatever.
And I don't really know how to do capital letters in cursive either. I really only know lowercase cursive. I only know like 2 or 3 letters.
Yeah, see, things like
capital.
that, right?
I usually use the printed
But
version.
do you think you would have
starting the
any problem reading?
No. I read. Yeah.
Right,
I
so
can, well,
that-
most cursive. There is certainly some cursive that is much more difficult than others.
Well, I mean, that's just people's penmanship.
Exactly.
Like individual, yeah, for
yes,
sure.
I can otherwise read cursive.
There's that, right? But yeah, that's what I just find interesting is that some of the kids now, and even, because like I say, this guy's not much younger than you.
Might, be confusing if you've never seen a cursive B, because it doesn't actually have the...
I find like G and S are too much for me. Like I can't figure them out. I don't know. I do all
Lowercase
capital letters. No, all uppercase.
Okay, yeah.
I do basically all uppercase in regular print, and then I just continue in lowercase for the rest of the word.
Right.
And sentence, but
Which is kind of a lot of how, yeah, just stylistically, I think a lot of us do it that way. But there's only a few that are really sort of, like T's are kind of fucked up, and then like Q's, right? Q's are very much like a number 2 almost kind of a deal, right? And you're like, yeah, that looks very different from a printed Q.
Point
right?
is,
a lowercase q and
this
stuff
supernatural
like that,
is just a weirdo for making it so precise and perfect. If that's like a fact that all supernaturals just automatically write that way, that's weird. And if the supernatural is just trying to make a point of how much better they are than everyone, that's still a weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It's a weird
again,
flex.
I'm gonna assume like not everybody, again, some of them don't, but I'm like, yeah, can you just imagine? So Mavra in her last like 500 years, this is part of what she has spent her time doing. Is just perfecting, because I get that whole practice makes perfect, and
Villains need hobbies too.
right? But I'm like, this is what occupies your time in a dark, dank, sunless room. Is
She learned from Shakespeare.
And honestly, I get it. Okay, Dracula stuck in his coffin, sitting on a boat for months at a time, trying to get back and forth from Romania to England. Sure, what do you do but just write 1,000 letters and perfect your penmanship until you look like a computer? But also,
I hope not. While he's literally stuck in his cot, that would be super cramped. I'm like, how the fuck do you write?
But the funny thing is like, well, okay, he said typewriter, right? But it's not like how much time did you really have to practice, okay? Most of the time you had to practice, there weren't typewriters to be practicing about. Like, you couldn't be copying Times New Roman if a Times New Roman didn't exist until the last 20 years. Like,
well, he didn't say it looked like a font he knew. He just said it was
but it's
perfect
just
enough that it would have been.
it's just like she's clearly copying a computerized perfection, and then she only's had 20 years to get this good at it, and she's still dedicated the time.
See, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Don't know if I wholly agree, because think of going back to like the calligraphy, like you go back at some, I mean, that shit was precise as fuck. And it was all just hand, obviously, way before the printing press.
Hundreds and hundreds of years to...
Like, people used to be damn, also, you did not have my teachers, okay? Up until, like, the 1980s, okay? They were really fucking strict about how you made your letters and how that shit looked. Which is still sad that my
Fair enough.
Dodge that chalk brush.
Right?
Should be noted that
the
her
yardstick
father was her teacher.
Right. Catholic school.
Yeah.
It was not Catholic school.
Oh, I went to Catholic.
You went to Catholic school, yeah. Mine was a separate school. It was not a. I mean, my parents were Catholic, but
Damn,
my
that
school
was
wasn't
super
Catholic.
scary.
But so yeah, I could see, and I mean, I think maybe once you've gotten to that level, because again, right, I'm like, you got 500 years to practice. I think maybe it's not going to be so tough now to pick up the latest Times New Roman when you're, let me
Maybe
just adapt a little.
I still think this is a weird hobby to have picked up.
I agree.
Weird
I agree. I for murderous, bloodthirsty, blackmailing psycho
Well,
bitch.
and then you've got dexterity of a vampire,
I'm
so
practicing.
Yeah, but still.
it might not even be. It's just like just sort of as soon as the.
But they're like they're like the old desiccated husks, right? Like how much motor control does she have in that?
I just like that when the Joker sends letters, things are misspelled. Okay, it makes it more relatable as a villain.
Right.
So yes, he's being threatened. He's gotten a very threatening letter.
Yes, pictures of Murphy on their Red Cross vampire attack showing her shooting a man with an illegal weapon and her standing over the corpse with Harry. It does not look good.
Yeah. So first of all, weird that someone was in the room able to take pictures and you didn't even know. Kincaid didn't even know. Don't like that at all. That's horrible news.
By the way, one last thing on the envelope. Part of what makes it sinister is he's like, my name, my address, nothing else. I'm sorry, when you address a letter, what the fuck else do you put on? Like, I don't know, I write the person's name, I write the address, I figure the other shit's inside.
It lacks a return.
No return address, no stamp. They got past the mailing system.
Oh, I see, okay.
Okay. Most
You're
rigorous
talking about
U.S. institution in North
posted mark.
America.
Okay, fine, put the post.
She's been to my house.
Not even everybody does a return address.
You put it straight in my mailbox.
Yeah. Okay, fine. It's just
It
weird. You're just like nothing
It looked
else.
exactly like an envelope.
Oh no, an envelope!
Most of the mail I receive has a government insignia on it because it's a bill, but I can't pay.
Yeah, right. So yeah, not good.
Not good, and yeah, unfortunately, those not Kremlins.
Renfields?
Yes. Unfortunately, those fucking Renfields look like humans.
Yeah.
So when Murphy went to kill one, looked like she was killing a human.
Just looked like some poor random homeless shelter schmo, and Murphy just popped a cap, and yeah. The other thing, we get the reminder of, again, Harry's confrontation with them last year, because this envelope freaks him out so much, he decides to check for any magical booby traps beforehand. Normally, he would do that with his left hand, because that's where you, take in energy. And yeah, so we were reminded once again, Henry, I've been spending too much time with the handies this week. Harry.
I thought you were saying hand injury.
Hand injury, that's exactly what I was saying. Handry was, yeah. So yes, he's still got his little toasted, roasted, crispy, fried.
Right.
Yeah. He's got to work his glove off to try. He's just enough. He can kind of make out. But yeah, just in case you forgot, Harry is now...
Oh, it's still there, though.
Really funny. I was watching some body cam footage the other day, and the cop was like, "Why are you wearing one glove?" And she's like, "I just like it." And he's like, "Okay." Like, I lost the other one, but I really still like this glove. And he's like, "Okay." You could tell the cop was like, "What a fucking weirdo." Right.
Sorry, what was this? A show or like
Some body cam footage.
body cam? Okay, yeah.
It was just so funny because the cop is trying to find someone suspicious in the crowd. And he's like, "You, why do you have one glove?" And she's like, "I lost the other one, but I really like this one." He's like, "What?" Okay. It was so funny. He's so incredulous. He's like, "I guess that's not a crime, but what the fuck?"
Yeah, right.
It's like, Harry.
Weird, unusual. Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. I don't think they're the same, because I don't know, you guys wouldn't know, but there was a show, Adderley, again, back in the 90s, but I think of that too, because that was basically his deal, is he got somebody smashed, so that was his thing, always going around wearing one glove or whatever too.
Bunch of weirdos in the world.
Yeah, I don't know, Michael Jackson. Yeah, right.
So not only is there these pictures, the second item for Mavra's request for him to meet at his grave to talk about a temporary truce, and she's got some business. And
Goodness.
a lock of Murphy's hair.
So this is even more weird for me because we don't normally have a follow-up so soon after.
Right.
One book later, we're already talking about Kincaid again. We're already talking about his hand again. We're already talking about Mavra again. I'm like, whoa.
Right.
Impatient.
Where's
Let's wait a
our
couple
2-year
months.
break
I
to
didn't even have
suddenly
enough time to forget about this.
bring the... Yeah, exactly. Right? You're like, where's the surprise? We're back.
We haven't even
surprise, we didn't leave.
He's never written any short story, graphic novel, anything to go in the middle of this timeline. Hence why we're on this book next. It's so strange. I mean, yeah, he picked up that coin and hasn't mentioned it ever since, right?
What coin?
Hello? Yeah, exactly.
wait, he still had that one little tiny patch of unburned
What's the plan
skin.
again?
Just
That's my point, though, is that
don't forget
this is so
completely,
strange.
but-
Butcher couldn't help himself. He's like, we're not done yet. Let's do more.
Yeah.
I'm on a roll.
It was. I admit that was something else that kind of stuck out because normally you have that.
Forget about this. Move on to this.
Yeah, sleight of hand.
But as we said,
Subterfuge.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yeah.
as we said, the whole Mavra thing was almost like a B plot when it should have been the A plot. So I guess even Butcher himself was like, you know what? Yeah, I got more to say.
that was right. He flipped the script on us there. He's like, oh, haha, you just thought it was a B script. Really, it was the lead into the A plot on the next one. So it wasn't even just like B plot. It was like super A plot.
Yeah.
Because it's only it
We're just
actually
still going.
But wait, there's more.
It passed over too.
It's like the peace talks, blood battleground.
Battlegrounds.
Anyways, too, it's like Deadbeat and Blood Rights are technically all one novel. We had to split it up a little.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, off to Graceland,
All right.
bitch.
Harry knows Mavra has Murphy in a bad spot.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's really fair. Like, yeah, I don't know how you're gonna explain that one off, Murphy. I guess Harry should show up to this meeting. 'Cause
Yeah. Because like you say, it would look bad enough in general, but you add in cop and lieutenant and head of her department.
how come you
and,
didn't report that you had to kill someone a year ago?
taking on vigilante side jobs, like not even anything remotely in the course of it's just all kinds of bads for her, no matter what.
Right. So, fine.
Yeah.
Harry will make that meeting.
Yeah. So he kind of was hoping, they kind of figured that they'd, snuffed out Mavra. But he's like, but I had a full day and just been ready to take it on faith. He's like, yeah, guess Kincaid was right about that one. She just taught it out of the smoke to let you just like rip her apart. Yeah, sure. Fuck.
But hey, we're back in it. New adventure for Harry Dresden. Everything sucks again.
Gonna say, and the extra backup of, like you say, the lock of hair. So even if, Murphy can get out of charges, explain it away to the human, right? She's like, if that doesn't work, I can just strike her down with a bolt of lightning anytime I want. So, bitch, gotta move on.
How did you get that hair? I don't like that either.
I know, right? That's also creepy because nothing really happened at the time for Murphy to have, like, left it behind or, nobody jumped out. And so, yeah, I was like, is this like some, other than they're not supposed to be able to cross threshold, but like some super creepy thing about, someone sneaking into her house in the middle of the night and like chopping off a lock of hair while it's
This says lock. It's not like, like a couple strands.
Yeah,
It says
yeah,
lock,
it's
so that
like
means-
totally creepy.
Harry or Murphy, did you get a haircut recently?
Yeah, right.
Check the reviews. Vampires.
I don't know, it was a super great deal. It was just like this pop-up barber shop. I figured, what the fuck? Top salary, always good to save a dime.
Some random guy came into the shop and just offered to do it for free for all of us cops one day.
We're now doing mobile haircuts. Just sit at your desk. Get you that high-end
That'd be really smart, actually. If I was a vampire, I would do that. I'd be like, yeah, we're donating to the cops in our area. You guys want haircuts for free? Sure. Just please sign this little
Because
baggie of
she
your
thinks
haircut.
it's weird that she practices her penmanship for 500 years, but it's totally normal for all the vamps to go out and take, like,
Show me a ritual.
hit up Marvell College and get their cosmetology degree.
In the Dresden files, I don't think it exists. In the Johannes Cabal files, whatever it's called, I
don't remember.
I do think it exists. A demon that is even more potent when the penmanship is good.
Yeah. Okay, well, yes, that's okay.
I don't think that exists in the Dresden file. So it shouldn't matter.
It does somewhere, he just hasn't come across.
A lock of hair, however, can be obviously used for magic.
Yeah.
The penmanship is just a weird quirk about her. Unless, of course, we're in the Johannes Cabal books, in which case I do think the penmanship probably would help spells.
This is her double whammy. Harry just doesn't know. I mean, he says he doesn't know. Had he consulted Bob would have been like, well, that right there. Don't worry about the hair, Harry. That fucking handwriting you saw, yeah, that's why your spidey senses kicked in.
I'd love for that to happen, for Harry to just come home one day and be like, Bob, I wrote something really nice and slow because my hand was hurting and the spell was like 10 times more powerful. And Bob's like, yeah, bro. I didn't bother to teach that to you because I just didn't think it'd be worth it. Like, you couldn't do it.
Imagine if you fixed your Latin, too.
Man would be unstoppable.
Harry's the luckiest person in the world that spells are supposed to be gobbledygook.
Like Imbicus. Yeah, right. Oy vey. All right, we got places to be and people to meet. Let's go.
This concludes our episode 13.1, Room and Border. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnally.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.